Microsoft Dynamics SL 2015 enhances the 1099 vendor process. Prior to SL 2015, any backup withholdings required for your vendors would be a manual process. But here in SL 2015, we've added new functionality to make it less manual and more of an automated process for you. Let's start and take a look at how we set this up. First, we can open up the AP Setup screen. We'll notice that under the 1099 tab, there is a few new fields. One is to be able to turn on or off this new feature, which is calculating your backup withholdings. After turning it on or off, the next is to decide, well, what is that percent that you're going to use? In this case, 20%. We then have the ability to either disable any warning messages around 1099 vendors, which we'll see later. And then lastly, we do need to define exactly which account and subaccount we should be using when we're doing our backup withholdings. And when we initially turn it on and save it, we will be prompted and told that the system will be able to search through all of our vendors and look for any vendors that might need to do backup withholdings. If we choose yes, it will automatically do that for us, so we don't have to spend time manually looking for items that or vendors that might be out of compliance. So as we go into a vendor, we pull up the vendor maintenance screen, and let's choose this vendor here. Under the 1099 information tab, you'll see that there are some new fields and some old fields as well. The first thing we'll notice is that the 1099 vendor field has been set to yes, so we know that this is a 1099 vendor. Next, we're showing that, hey, it is mixing a tax ID number, which is grounds for holding a backup withholding. So that's a reason to turn on that backup withholding right away. We also have some existing fields, like the ability to choose, hey, have you notified the vendor about this incorrect information? So you have that ability. And then the new field to calculate backup withholdings. Again, it's been turned on yes because there's some information missing, but of course we have the flexibility to turn it off if for some reason we don't need to do that. Now once we have the information in the system, how does this go forward? Well, as we're going into voucher and adjustment entry screen and we're choosing this vendor and putting some information about them, the first thing you'll notice is as we choose a vendor that has that flag set to yes, it will prompt us and let us know, by the way, this vendor is subject to backup withholdings. As we continue on and we start entering information into the screen for the line amounts, control totals, and total amounts. And as we go and put our amounts and save it, when we release the batch, we see that this particular batch has been put in for $1,000. So let's keep that in mind. So now that we release it and move forward with it and release the batch, let's go ahead and take a look at and let's go ahead and choose this particular entry for payment. So if we go into the payment selection screen and let's select by vendor because we know who we want to pay, and we choose that specific vendor and hit begin processing, it will go ahead and show us that yes, we have in fact chosen that vendor's item out there to be able to pay. So we'll click OK and close out of here. Now we have the information in there. Now the next step is to go ahead and let's actually pay them. So if we go to the check printing process and we choose the batch that we just created, and if we view our selections, we'll notice that yes, we have chosen that one and it's ready to pay. But if we remember, our check was for $1,000, but we're only cutting the check for $800. Well, why is that? Well, that's because of our backup withholding. And if we print our checks and we keep them, if we take a look at our report, we see that inside the check itself, it actually has printed the fact that yes, it was for $1,000, but we only cut the check for $800 because there was a backup withholding amount of $200. So as you can see now, we have automated this process. No longer do you have to keep track of it on your own. We are keeping track of that information. So what if I need to look up this information at a later time? How is that going to happen? Well, inside of Dynamics SL, we've stored that information inside our vendor maintenance screen. So as we pull up our vendors, we'll see it in a couple different places. One, under the 1099 information area, you'll see that it has actually put that amount in here. to the $200 of that backup withholdings. So that's great. We can also go back and look at the vendor information. And under the show history, we see that there's actually a brand new column that shows the backup withholding and is keeping track of it as well. So again, automated, set up. Once it's set up for you, it's going to automatically make sure you're compliant. Now, when it's the end of the year, you can take that information and pay it to the government. Thanks for learning about the new 1099 backup withholdings. Please contact your partner to learn more about all the other great features here in Microsoft Dynamics SL 2015.